Hello guys, welcome back to LR Anime. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of BTTH Rebirth of Emperor Yang episode number 119 based on novel. So let's start. In the auction house, people looked at the wisp of feathers on the auction table below in amazement. A moment ago, this thing broke out a powerful momentum that moved most people present, but it was only a few breaths. The change was a little too fast. What's going on? Everyone looked at Fang Qian on the auction platform below with a look of amazement. Everyone showed a suspicious color. Is this the baby, human order fighting skills? At this moment, even many people who had planned to sell the auction also took back their eyes bitterly. At the same time, a look of doubt appeared in Fang Qian's eyes. If even the first auction item is fake, the people present can no longer rest assured about the later auction items. Dong Chuan, who stood on the edge of the venue, could not help but frown and felt some trouble. If Feng Yu pointed out the matter, I'm afraid there is no need to continue today's auction. One mistake is enough to set the whole auction on fire. At the same time, in those boxes, several strong fighters also showed all kinds of eyes, or smiles, or surprise, or doubt. In a word, the changes in the field at the moment made everyone uneasy. As for Xiao Yang at the moment, naturally, he can see the external situation clearly through the light curtain in front of him, including even standing on the auction platform at the moment, stunned and embarrassed Fang Qian. Seeing the depressed atmosphere in the field because of himself, Xiao Yang couldn't help feeling a little sorry, frowned tightly, and quickly thought about countermeasures. Anyway, everything in front of him will become like this because of him. If he continues to be silent, no matter whether others will know it or not, it will eventually become a pimple in Xiao Yang's heart. If he can't solve this problem today, I'm afraid it may even affect Xiao Yang's cultivation in the future. Cough. Well, I'm sorry. Just now, I was interested in exploring the Demon Phoenix with my soul power, but I didn't expect that it could not withstand the exploration, so it became like this. If you are disturbed, please don't take it seriously. It's a big deal. I'm willing to give up this fighting skill. Suddenly, the words full of embarrassment suddenly rang through the whole venue and echoed in everyone's ears. Hearing the speech, everyone's faces immediately showed a color of difference. According to the prestige, they can only see the empty sky above their heads. At the same time, the duty on the auction platform and in those boxes looked at the box where Xiao Yang was at this moment. Although others can't see it, they know that the voice came from here. After listening to the words, several strong fighters in the box couldn't help but flash a suspicious color on their faces. Even with a sneer, they continued to be silent. As for Fang Qian on the stone platform at the moment, a pair of muddy old eyes show a touch of gratitude. Others don't know, but as the manager of the auction house, how can he know that there are some special arrays around the auction desk, which can resist all the soul perceptions below the 4th level herbalist? Unfortunately, although Xiao Yang is a 3rd order herbalist, his soul power is not enough to surpass that array, let alone let them fight the emperor without noticing. Therefore, Fang Qian knew that his words were false. However, although the words are false, if they are used to solve the encirclement, it would be better in the current situation. No wonder it was Mr. who explored with his soul power. He arched his hand at the box where Xiao Yang was. Fang Qian knew it, but he smiled with gratitude on his face. As soon as Fang Qian said this, the people present immediately looked at the box where Xiao Yang was now. Their eyes were full of doubts. They were also curious about the sir in Fang Qian's words. Then, the next moment, when the people present fell on the box where Xiao Yang was, the void outside the box suddenly twisted. Immediately after that, a young man in black robes slowly appeared in the sight of everyone. Wow! As soon as I saw Xiao Yang, everyone in the field immediately burst into an uproar, which was the reaction. I'm afraid that the only person who can make Fang Qian so respected in the auction house at the moment is the 3rd order herbalist. But when the people returned to their senses and recalled what Xiao Yang had just said, their eyes twinkled like wolves, and they stared at the fighting skill on the crystal column in front of Fang Qian at the moment. You know, this fighting skill has attracted the interest of a 3rd-class herbalist. From this point of view alone, it can prove that this fighting skill is not cheap. At present, Xiao Yang takes the initiative to give up. Isn't it more perfect for the others present? Of course, I don't know. If they knew what they had said just now, Xiao Yang intended to do it, but they don't know what a wonderful expression would appear on their faces. In the twinkling of an eye, so many people stared at him with such eyes. With Fang Qian's determination, he couldn't help shaking his eyebrows. Then he looked at Xiao Yang, who slowly dissipated his figure in the sky with grateful eyes again. Thank you. At the edge of the auction platform, Dong Chuan also stared at Xiao Yang's disappearance and thanked Xiao Yang in his heart. At the same time, because of the changes just now, the quiet atmosphere in the field was also broken by Xiao Yang's words. At this moment, everyone in the auction house turned their eyes to Fang Qian. Fang Qian hasn't said the reserve price yet, but the sound of clapping on the field has fluctuated continuously. This scene also made Fang Qian's old face show a look of consternation again. However, compared with before, at this moment, the expression on Fang Qian's face was much easier. In the box, Xiao Yang looked at the scene displayed in the field at the moment, and the emotion in his heart also gradually dissipated. It seemed that the stone blocked in his heart was smashed at the moment, and even his breathing became much smoother. Hey, everyone, there is order in the auction house. Please don't get excited. Next, our first auction item will be officially opened. Phoenix Feather refers to the human-level fighting skill, which must have been seen by everyone just now. The reserve price of the auction will be 1.3 million Lingcoin, and each price increase shall not be less than 50,000 Lingcoin, and the top of 8 million Lingcoin. If anyone comes up with this price in advance, no matter who comes up with the higher price, the Phoenix Feather Finger will belong to him. You can't miss such an opportunity. Some words, wrapped in Fang Qian's fighting spirit, rang through everyone's ears like a bell. Coupled with his clever tone and slight means, he immediately mobilized the atmosphere in the auction house. Then, please. As Fang Qian's voice spewed out, the next moment, one after another in the huge auction house, the outcry immediately rang through the whole auction house like bursts of thunder. Xiao Yang came forward with his valuable fighting skills. Now, after Fang Qian's praise and speculation, the price of this Phoenix Feather Finger has been raised to the height of 3 million Lingcoin in a short moment, but this height has exceeded its original price. However, Xiao Yang, who is in the box, is like an outsider who is not familiar with the world. His body leans easily on the back of the chair, his eyes are slightly narrowed. With the existence of the box, all the noise from the outside cannot be transmitted to Xiao Yang's ears. One side, Murong Qianqian frowned and looked at Xiao Yang, who had nothing to do with himself. There was a trace of doubt in her beautiful eyes. Hey, didn't you say that you are very interested in the fighting skill? Did you just give up? Hearing the speech, Xiao Yang was slightly stunned. He couldn't help laughing. He turned his head slightly and looked at Murong Qianqian with a sad face. It seemed that he wanted to say something, but in the end, he shook his head reluctantly, immediately took back his eyes and closed his eyes again. During the auction, Xiao Yang naturally wanted to find some fighting skills he was satisfied with here. However, Xiao Yang was not interested in the so-called Phoenix Feather Finger at present, but it was just a volume of human-level low fighting skills. Previously, he was just trying to make up for his apology. Nowadays, Xiao Yang doesn't lack human-level fighting skills, and he won't rare such low-level human-level fighting skills. With Xiao Yang's current vision, unless it is human-level high-level fighting skills, or higher-level spirit-level fighting skills, ordinary fighting skills can no longer make Xiao Yang excited. After all, now he is not the poor boy who just came to Yuanwu. With his wealth, he is enough to move the strong and powerful. Leaning gently against the back of the chair behind him, Xiao Yang narrowed his eyes slightly. He knew that the auction had just begun, and the real good things were still behind. These things that appear now may still have a lot of interest in these ordinary semi-imperial strongmen present, but they are not worth mentioning if they are put in the eyes of those distinguished guests sitting in the front of the stand. As for these imperial strongmen in the box, they will not arouse the slightest interest, or even have no intention to take a look at them. This point can be seen from the Phoenix Feather Finger. Although the people on the stage have raised the price crazily, in a moment, the price of Fengyu's finger has grown from 1.3 million spiritual coins at the beginning to 5 million spiritual coins now. Rao is so. The high-ranking semi-emperors sitting in the front of the stand are silent. His fingers lightly touched the handrail. Listening to the voice from the light curtain in Xiao Yang's ears, he couldn't help shaking his head. The value of this Fengyu finger is far from enough. However, after his appearance and Fang Qian's boasting, the first round of auction lasted nearly half an hour. Finally, this Fengyu finger was pocketed by an old man with gorgeous clothes at the high price of 17.6 million ling coins. With a smile on his face, Fang Qian shouted out the final price. Fang Qian smiled and fell on the old man, 7.6 million ling coin. Even if they put it on their pre-estimated price, it would be more than 2 million ling coin. Although all this has a lot of relationship with Fang Qian's praise, he also knows that I'm afraid the most grateful thing should be now. Xiao Yang is dimly sleepy and nestled in the chair. If he hadn't been the third-order herbalist, it would be a problem whether the Fengyu finger could be sold or not. After this first good start, the atmosphere in the auction house was also completely ignited. Everyone was excited and shouted wildly, while Fang Qian took advantage of this opportunity to strike while the iron was hot and took out 5 or 6 auction items one after another. These auctions, with some of their own characteristics and advantages, attracted the attention of many people. Coupled with Fang Qian's incitement and flattery, several subsequent auctions also got a perfect price higher than expected. It seems that this time, Yangcheng Tianyun Auction House can make a lot of money through this auction. However, it has to be said that the success of this auction of Yangcheng Tianyun Auction House is not an accidental opportunity. It is not only because of the relationship between Xiao Yang and those who fight against the emperor, but also because the quality of the things auctioned at this auction is superior. Not to mention others, from Xiao Yang's point of view, we can see so many things at this auction. Even human-level fighting skills are only the things with the lowest quality. Even some of them, even Xiao Yang can't help feeling excited. However, he also knows that he is just a fat man now, and many things can only be seen, unless he doesn't want the flaming flower. After several rounds of auctions, Xiao Yang finally couldn't help it. After some simple and rough competition, Xiao Yang successfully won several herbs he needed for alchemy with his only spiritual coins, which also made Xiao Yang feel worthy of this trip. With the passage of time, the strong fighters in the box also began their own bidding competition, and with their participation, the atmosphere on the auction ground became hot. The high prices of the strong fighting emperor have even exceeded nearly 10 million. Listening to those terrible figures, Xiao Yang, who knows that he is shy in his bag, can only smack his tongue in his heart. Sometimes when he got to the hot place, Xiao Yang could not help but want to compete at a high price, but when he thought of the main purpose of participating in the auction, he had to retract the body he had just stood up into his seat again. Naturally, no one can disturb the competition among the strong fighters. Without competitors, the competition among the strong fighters has become extremely straightforward. The voice of price shouting is like a continuous gun. Each other's hearts are like who doesn't let anyone down. It seems that they are absolutely unwilling to give up if they don't crush each other. Finally, after a few hours of this slightly embarrassing Fang Qian on the auction platform finally took out a new auction item again. Because this auction item is special, perhaps only a few of you present will bid, so its price is also relatively low compared with the previous thing. As for why this thing is, I don't introduce it more. You can see at a glance. At the same time, Fang Qian took off the cloth covering the silver plate in front of him with one hand. Immediately, a slowly creeping medicinal material like a flame appeared in the eyes of everyone. At this moment, Xiao Yang, who was in the box, suddenly stood up on the seat under himself. In a pair of dark pupils, he stared at the silver plate like a flame of medicinal materials. In his pupils, an uncontrollable excited color emerged. Flaming flower. Flaming flower. Staring at the scene displayed on the light curtain at the moment, a flower petal shows red, slowly emerges in front of everyone like a flame, and the emerald green rhizome emits glittering and translucent treasure like a new bud. When the flower was exposed to the air, people could clearly feel that the temperature between heaven and earth increased significantly with the emergence of the flower. At this moment, not only the people in the stands, but also the powerful fighters in the box, could not help but be surprised when they looked at the flower. It's an unusual flower that can lead to changes in heaven and earth. Blazing flame flower. It contains the power of extremely overbearing fire attribute. Ordinary people can't even touch it. Unexpectedly, the news before the auction is true. At this auction, we can see this strange thing in heaven and earth. Naturally, among the semi-imperial strong men, there were many knowledgeable people. At the first sight of this flaming flower, someone recognized it. Suddenly, there was another riot on the auction platform. Although most of the people present have not seen the flaming flower with their own eyes, they know the name of the latter very well. This kind of medicinal material is extremely rare. Among all fire medicinal materials, it can be listed in the top ranks. In the refining of many high-level Dan medicines, Kaiyang flower will also be used as the main medicinal material. Therefore, its value becomes immeasurable. However, such precious medicinal materials have now appeared in front of everyone. Who is willing to miss such an opportunity? It seems that you all know this flower. Yes, this flower is the flaming flower. I won't say more about its medicine for the time being. I'm sure all of you here know something about it. Then, don't talk more nonsense. Please prepare your capital first. On the auction stage, Fang Qian looked at the people around the stands with a smile on his old face, stroked his beard with his dry palm, and immediately continued to say, "Because of the particularity of the flaming flower, its owner does not intend to auction it in the form of spirit coins, but hopes to exchange it for things and exchange items of equal value. Therefore, if anyone here wants to exchange, he also hopes to take out equivalent items. Of course, his value will also be personally identified by me." Deep eyes slowly swept through the audience. As Fang Qian's words fell, the originally noisy people in the audience immediately became much silent. There is no need to say more about the value of flaming flowers. Although there are many comparable things in the world, there are absolutely not many. At least, there are no things that can be used to exchange flaming flowers in the hands of all present. Ha ha. With a dry smile, Fang Qian turned his eyes to the box at the top of the high platform. At this moment, I'm afraid only the people there can take it down. Ladies and gentlemen, this flaming flower has been used for more than 1,000 years, and its medicinal properties can be called the best of the best. If it is used to refine pills, then the medicinal properties of refined pills will be greatly improved. There are also many herbalists here. This flaming flower is not suitable for all herbalists. After all, the first thing to judge the quality of a pill is the medicinal materials used in refining the pill. I don't need to say more about this. All herbalists can understand it. While Fang Qian's words fell, a pair of turbid old eyes also slowly swept through some people in the stands, with a dense smile on his old face. Those who were watched by him were all herbalists. What's more, there were several second-class herbalists. At the same time, Xu Songming, who had a conflict with Xiao Yan 2 days ago, was also comparing them. "Oh, everyone, please." Walking slowly to one side, Fang Qian raised his hand with a smile. His palm tilted to the flaming flower placed on the silver plate. His eyes swept the whole audience again. "Ha ha," said with a smile. As Fang Qian's words fell, the people on the auction ground gradually became silent. Only a very few people would focus their greedy eyes on the blazing flowers. Fang Qian on the auction platform was not surprised by this. After all, compared with ordinary martial arts and fighting skills, the attraction of medicinal materials is only for pharmacists, but for ordinary people. "I'm willing to give 3 second-order pills to exchange for blazing flowers." The silent atmosphere in the field lasted for a short moment. Finally, on the grandstand, an old man in grey robes slowly got up from his seat. The old and hoarse voice spread around the whole auction house, so that everyone's eyes could not help looking at the old man in grey robe at the moment. "I'm willing to give 4 imperial pills." It's unbearable that you can only give up such excellent medicinal materials. "I'm willing to give 7 imperial pills. Today's flaming flower will surely fall into my hand." 8. Then, there was another bidding sound that was unwilling to fall behind. Then, like a continuous barrage of bidding, it also rang out one after another in the auction house. In a short moment, the price of the flaming flower has risen from 8 imperial pills to 13 imperial pills. Listening to the outcry in the market one after another, the hearts of the people on the stage could not help feeling a sense of horror. 13 imperial elixirs. If they are auctioned, their value will far exceed 10 million spirit coins. However, in this way, the number of people shouting and shooting in the field is increasing. At the same time, the price of flaming flower has also been rapidly increased. 20 imperial elixirs. I'm sure to get these flaming flowers. I don't think anyone dares to compete with me. However, until a certain moment, Xu Songming, who had been sitting still at the guest seat in the front of the grandstand, was at this moment. When his dry palm slapped the armrest and the chair burst under him, his whole person also stood up in an instant. A pair of sharp eyes slowly swept through the audience with a fierce light. Anyone who looked at him hurriedly hid his eyes. Most of the people present have heard of Xu Songming's name and are naturally no strangers to him. Moreover, he is also a member of the Herbalist Alliance, and there are no fewer people who know him. At the moment, as soon as Xu Songming appeared, most of the pharmacists present couldn't help but keep their mouths shut. Although there are some second-order herbalists in the field, they are still a little inferior to Xu Songming. After all, Xu Songming is about to break through to the third-order herbalist. The news has spread all over the city as early as 2 days ago. At this moment, anyone who makes eye contact with him is extremely afraid of him. Otherwise, how can he easily let go of the blazing flower? Xu Songming, this is my Tianyun auction house. Is it too much for you to do so? Fang Qian also heard that the former was about to break through to the third-level herbalist, but there was still no polite trace in his words. The third-order herbalist is not afraid of others. As for the alliance of herbalists, He is not afraid of Tianyun auction house. Naturally, his words do not mean much politeness. Ha ha, Fang Guanxia, I'm just a normal competition, and I don't mean to forcibly occupy. Of course, if any one of the friends present wants to continue, it's okay to raise the price. However, I believe there should be no more friends of the alchemists present than these 20 imperial pills. Hearing the speech, Xu Songming laughed. It seemed that he had expected for a long time. As soon as he exported it, most of the pharmacists present were helpless to lower their heads. Although some of them wanted to compete with him, they had to withdraw their eyes with a sigh at the thought of the latter's background. Seeing this, Xu Songming's old face became very arrogant. He looked at Fang Qian with a grim smile and said with a laugh, "Well, Fang Guanxia has also seen that no one present seems to be able to offer a higher price than me. Of course, if someone can offer a higher price than me, I will turn around and leave immediately without saying a word." When Xu Songming said this, Fang Qian's old eyes narrowed and smiled coldly. His muddy old eyes slowly raised and looked at the box where Xiao Yang was. I believe that as long as Xiao Yang is willing to come forward, even if Xu Songming has the support of the Pharmacist Alliance, he can't help him. At the same time, Xu Songming also seemed to find Fang Qian's intention. Immediately, his face changed slightly. He quickly looked up at the box where Xiao Yang was, shouting bad in his heart. If Xiao Yang really comes forward, I'm afraid that today's flaming flower will really miss him. With this in mind, Xu Songming couldn't help feeling a surge of hate. However, at this time, Xiao Yang's figure slowly emerged outside the box again. Seeing this, Fang Qian's look on his old face suddenly became a surprise. Since Xiao Yang came forward, Xu Songming may have to return with regret. For this old boy, Fang Qian doesn't have a good impression. At present, he does so on his own territory. Fang Qian is naturally unhappy. If it weren't for the auction, I'm afraid Fang Qian would have been unable to help fighting Xu Songming. Seeing Xiao Yang coming forward, Xu Songming's face could not help but quickly became gloomy on the lower stand. Bastard! Is it hard to be true that this boy will destroy my good deed? However, just when Fang Qian was surprised, when Xu Songming cursed Xiao Yang with a gloomy face, Xiao Yang in the void showed a helpless color on his face. Glancing at Fang Qian and Xu Songming below, a fine light in the depths of his eyes flashed away. Soon, he sighed again, shook his head and said helplessly, "Sorry, 20 imperial pills. I didn't." "No." As soon as Xiao Yang said this, the whole audience was silent. At this moment, even Fang Qian on the auction platform below and Xu Songming, who stood on the stand and trembled slightly, solidified their old faces at the moment. No matter how they were, they didn't expect that Xiao Yang would say such words of surprise to the whole audience. At the same time, not only them, but also other pharmacists on the stand and the semi-emperor strong men, their faces looked very wonderful at the moment. Xiao Yang's words at the moment can be described as the most wonderful cold joke that people present have heard. A third-class herbalist doesn't have as many pills as a second-class herbalist. If this kind of thing is spread, it will make people laugh. Ha ha ha. He was stunned for a moment. Suddenly, there was a startling laughter on the stand. He couldn't help but ring through. Don't think about it. At this moment, Xu Songming is the only one who can laugh. It seems that I'm bound to win this flaming flower. Since no one is bidding with me again, please let the steward drop the hammer and fix the sound. Xu Songming looked up at Xiao Yang in the sky with a sneer. Unexpectedly, the worry in his heart was groundless. Fang Qian seems to have never heard of Xu Songming's cold laughter. At the moment, he is staring at Xiao Yang with muddy old eyes. He can't believe that Xiao Yang, as a third-order pharmacist, can't easily lose to Xu Songming. However, it is a pity that Xiao Yang in the sky frowns all the time, and the look on his face has never been relaxed. He seems helpless and anxious, but he seems to be thinking about something. But in the end, Xiao Yang still couldn't give an answer, so that Fang Qian on the auction platform below couldn't help feeling a little lost. Even the people on the stand couldn't help but cast a disappointed look at Xiao Yang. Alas! With a helpless sigh in his heart, Fang Qian had to turn his eyes to Xu Songming with disappointment. However, the rules on the auction ground are like this. No matter who the guest is, as long as he has the ability to win the auction products will belong to him. This rule can't be changed even if Fang Qian is a strong man fighting the emperor. The look on his old face gradually became gloomy. After a long time, Fang Qian looked up at Xu Songming again and paused for a long time. Then he slowly opened his mouth word by word. Each word sounded as if it had been squeezed out from between the teeth. His tone was blunt. Xu Songming offered 20 imperial pills in exchange for flaming flowers. Would anyone here be willing to pay a higher price? Xu Songming had a triumphant expression on his face and a sneer like a blade on his thin lips. The resentment accumulated by Xiao Yang 2 days ago seemed to disappear at this moment. Sure enough. No. The low voice of words was almost inaudible, and the atmosphere in the auction became depressed, as if a thick dark cloud covered everyone's head. However, the next moment, when Fang Qian looked helpless and wanted to export again, Xiao Yang, who was high above the sky, slowly raised his head, slowly raised the corners of his mouth, raised a playful smile, and a pair of dark eyes looked at Fang Qian on the auction platform below. At the same time, the latter seemed to feel something. His wrinkled eyebrows were fiercely picked, his turbid old eyes were raised in an instant, and his eyes looked at Xiao Yang like a sword in an instant. Huh! Seeing the smile on the corner of Xiao Yang's mouth, Fang Qian's old face was slightly stunned at first. It seemed that he thought of something. The gloomy color on his old face disappeared in an instant. Instead, it was a surprise color. Good boy, I'm really worried for nothing. While laughing and scolding Xiao Yang in his heart, Fang Qian showed a surprised smile on his old face. At the same time, Xu Songming and others in the stands shot their eyes at Xiao Yang because of the change in the look on Fang Qian's old face. When everyone saw the smile outlined by Xiao Yang's mouth, everyone's face immediately couldn't help being a little stunned. Immediately after that, they turned their compassionate eyes to Xu Songming in front of the stand. Looking at Xiao Yang's appearance, it's obvious that he can't believe everything he said earlier. In that case, Xu Songming is afraid to capsize in the gutter. Boy, play tricks. If you can't get the pill, you can't compete with me for this flaming flower. Seeing the confident look on Xiao Yang's face, Xu Songming was suddenly surprised. His body standing in place couldn't help shaking, but in the end, he couldn't help shouting at Xiao Yang. He doesn't believe it. Xiao Yang in front of him can't take out an imperial pill at all. Why do you want to compete with him? Unless what Xiao Yang said earlier is nothing, it's just to deceive the people present. Hihi, you're right. I really can't get a pill. However, Xiao Yang's next words surprised everyone present again. Since there was no pill, how could Xiao Yang argue with Xu Songming? Ha ha ha. Hearing Xiao Yang's words, Xu Songming couldn't help laughing again, while Fang Qian on the auction platform narrowed his old eyes and stared at Xiao Yang with turbid old eyes. The essence in his eyes flickered. It seemed that he had guessed something. How dare you ask Fang Qian, steward? Can you only exchange this flaming flower with Dan medicine? Xiao Yang smiled and ignored Xu Songming. Instead, he looked at Fang Qian and asked with a smile and a fist. Oh, of course not. I have said that anything of equal value can be used to auction the flaming flowers. Hearing the words of the two people, Xu Songming's eyes suddenly coagulated. At the same time, the people on the stage seemed to hear something from Xiao Yang's words, and their eyes immediately showed a look of curiosity. Can the young man in black in front of him really take out something of equal value to the flaming flower? In the eyes of everyone on the court, Xiao Yang's smile on the corners of his mouth was even worse. His eyes glanced at Xu Songming below his eyes. The corners of his mouth were hooked, revealing a row of white teeth. This look, in Xu Songming's eyes, is like a cold sharp blade waving at him. On the void, Xiao Yang slowly stretched his hand flat to the void in front of him. Immediately, under the staring eyes of all the people on the court, his heart read a move. The next moment, between Xiao Yang's palms, a touch of emerald green streamer shone rapidly. Immediately after that, an emerald green fan leaf with a large and small wash basin appeared in the eyes of all the people on the scene. Looking at this leaf, there is no doubt that it is 1,000 leaves. This video will end here.